All right, so these are the quiz corrections for quiz number 7. This was taken last week, December 7th, 2016. This is chapters 5.1 to 5.3. 5.1 to 5.2 are essentially the transformations. That was just moving, translating it left, right, up, down, reflecting over an axis. That was 5.1 and 5.2. Rotations, and just side, side, side. Question number 1, triangle XYZ with vertices x 5, 4, y 3, negative 1, and z 0, 2 is translated so that x prime is at 3, 1. State the coordinates of y prime, z prime. Now what you could do is you could just graph all of these coordinates and then see what's happening to them. But what I did is I said, well, if they gave me x prime, which means they've moved it, then I notice a pattern. I'm going from 5 to 3, 4 to 1. So I'm just subtracting 2 on the x values, subtracting 3 on the y values. So I just subtracted 2, and I get 1, subtract 3, negative 1 minus 3 gives you negative 4, 0 minus 2 gives you negative 2, and minus 3 gives you negative 1. Remember, you could have used the graph paper, and if these coordinates would have given you choice, which one is that? Sorry, my highlights didn't come out. C is the correct answer. C is the correct answer. Answer. Question number 2 says the vertices of a triangle are 2, 8, Q is 8, negative 8, negative 7, and R is 5, negative 6. Name the vertices of the image reflected in the x-axis. X-axis. Okay. So here's not a trick, it's just something I'm doing. You can do this on your quiz or test, and this is probably a good strategy to do for every standardized test, PSATs, SATs, ACTs, college entrance exams. I made a pattern. I recognize if I just made up an order pair, 3, negative 1, and if I reflect it over the x-axis, so let's pretend 3, negative 1 is right here where my cursor is, and I reflect it over the x-axis, it just is over here, right? I'm just counting towards the x-axis. You count 1 and then down 1. Well, that's 3, negative 1. And what you'll notice is that the x's stay the same, but the y's change. So I can apply that rule to each one of them without actually graphing each one of them. So all the x's stay the same. So that'll be a positive 2, negative 8, positive 5. But that means all the y's will change. That'll become a negative 8, which is right here. Choice A is your answer. Negative 7 turns into positive 7. Negative 6 turns into positive. Negative 6 turns into positive 6. Remember, you could have graphed it. I gave you some graph paper, and you just graph it on your own. Question number 3 says, which of the following describes the movement of a figure that is translated according to the rule below? That'll be x minus 7. X goes left and right, so that means x is going left 7. Y's go up and down, so positive 1 means going up. That would be choice G. G is the answer for number 3. Question number 4. Name the coordinates for M prime after a clockwise rotation about 90 degrees. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get M. So if I look at my coordinate plane, this is the origin. Left 1, up 3. Negative 1, positive 3. The rule that I showed you guys works for every 90 degrees clockwise rotation, which means that there are 3 90 degrees and 270, so it means I have to do the trick 3 times. Change the sign of x, so negative 1 turns into positive 1, switch, switch, that becomes 3, 1. I've applied the rule once, I have to do it 2 more times. Opposite of positive 3 is negative 3, switch x and y. Change the sign of x, this is a positive, becomes a negative. Change, or switch the positions, negative 3, negative 1 is your correct answer. You got 2 points for every correct blank. If you got both of them wrong, you got a total of 1 point for the problem. Question number 5. Name the coordinates for P prime after a counterclockwise rotation of 270 degrees. Now pay attention here. This is where students got lost. Students thought, well, oh, I'll just get the coordinates for P from the previous problem and then do the trick 3 times. That's incorrect. It says counterclockwise. So on your maps, which you should have right out and you can use, 270 degrees counterclockwise. Remember the equation I gave you is 270 plus something equals 360. Well, 270 plus 90 equals 360. So 270 degrees counterclockwise gives us in the same position as 90 degrees clockwise. 90 degrees clockwise just means I have to do the trick once. So I come over here and get the coordinates for P. That would be right 7, up 2. So the coordinates are 7, 2. All I have to do is apply the trick once. Change the sign of X. So this is a positive 7. That'll become a negative 7. And then I'm going to switch positions. So this negative 7 goes there. And the Y goes there. So this order pair is 2, negative 7. Question number 6. Find the measure of angle P if triangle OPQ is congruent to triangle WXY. And measure of angle W is 80 degrees. The measure of angle X is 70 degrees. And the measure of angle Y is 30 degrees. Well, there's no picture, so go ahead and draw yourself one. OPQ, WXY. Tells me angle W is 80 degrees. Angle X is 70. And angle Y is 30 degrees. Now, I don't have to do triangle sum theorem there because they all add up to be 180, but they're asking for the measure of angle P. Well, P, if you drew a correct picture, is the top. So 70 degrees is your answer. Number 6, the answer is B, 70. Remember, you can also do my trick. Second letter, second letter. P corresponds to X. X is already 70, so P is already 70. Question number 7. Which transformation does not preserve shape and size? Meaning, which transformation changes the shape and size? Well, the one that we learned in the previous chapter where actually changes the size but not the shape would be dilation. Dilation keeps the shape but not the size, right? It's just becoming smaller or bigger, so D is the correct answer. Translation keeps the shape and size, it just moved around. Rotation, just what it looks like, and reflection still stays. That side was worth 18 points. Turn to the back side. Directions are cut off. Basically complete the congruent statement. That's just the first blank. And also give a reason. We've been practicing that in class. So your picture is already marked up. The only one you have is the hidden. That's reflexive. Draw 3 marks. You have side, 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 side. Now, if they give you WSX, notice the number of marks I'm going through. 1 hash mark, 3 hash marks. Do it again. 1, 3. That means on the other triangle it would have to be TSX. 1, 3. You got 2 points per blank, and if you got both wrong, you got 1 point. Fill in the blank squares so that each row and each column contain all the digits 1 to 3. Numbers and cages may repeat as long as they are not in the same row or column. So I need 2 numbers that multiply to be 6. That would be 2 and 3. 3 numbers that multiply to be 3. That would be 1, 3, and 1. 2 numbers that multiply to be 2, 1 and 2, and 2 numbers that multiply to be 6, that would be 2 and 3. Notice how there's all the numbers 1 to 3, 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 and none of those are repeating. Probably about 95% of students got that one correct. The proof is the one we did in class. If you just write down the first one as your statement, second one is your statement, and you wrote given and given, you got 2 points. Even if 3 and 4 are incorrect. Some students randomly try to just memorize answers, so they wrote reflexive somewhere and side, side, side. You did not get a third point. You had to get statement and a reason correct. So if you wrote triangle HGF is congruent to triangle FEH, and you wrote side, 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 I gave you 3 points. This was the hardest one, statement number 3. Has to be HF is congruent to FH, or FH is congruent to HF. That's reflexive. That's how you would have gotten the full credit. So again, take your picture, mark it up. The picture will tell you what to write for your proof. And the last question. One point per blank. Name the congruent triangle and the congruent parts. It gives you FGH. Look at the marks you're going through. 1, 2, 1, 1, 2. To repeat those numbers, you would just go 1, 2, 1, 1, 2. FEI would be the correct answer. Tells you EFI. So EFI, the most important letter is the second letter. There I have one arc, so that would be over here. Now you could not name angle F because this gives you 3 letters. This should be 3 letters. So that would be GFH. Remember, you can also use this congruence statement. EFI is second, third, first. Second, third, first. G is the second letter. E is the second letter. H is the third letter. I is the third letter. Also, you can use your picture. H has 2 marks. I has 2 marks. F, G, you're going from one arc to the box. You have to go in that direction. A lot of students wrote EF, that would be marked incorrect. FE, arc, 2, and then the box. GH, you're going from the right angle to the 2 arcs. Right angle to the 2 arcs, that would be EI. And FH, you're going from 1, 3, 2. 1, 3, 2, that would be FI. That side was 19, and then your total for the test was 37. Remember, 1/3 of your test questions will come from this test specifically. You've seen the problems, they'll be very familiar. Study them, don't memorize them.